Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends talk all things Invincible, a comic book and animated series created by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. I am one of your hosts, Ryan, and joining me, as always, are my friends Bill.
Oh, hi, Ryan.
Oh, hi, Bill, and TJ.
Hello, TJ.
What's going on, man? How have you guys been?
Stuff and things. It feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah, has it been a while?
You know what? I was just about to say
It
felt like a short time since this was a short month, and then I stopped myself because I was like, we start every episode by saying it's been a long time since we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
But
is it because we didn't do ChromaCast this month?
oh, you're right.
Otherwise, it feels long time.
Very possible.
You know what? I
Yes.
have a thing I wasn't planning on. That just popped into my brain.
All right.
Ryan and Bill,
Yes.
happy 7-year anniversary.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you for bringing that up, TJ.
Happy
Mhm.
anniversary, guys.
Happy anniversary. This is 7 years.
7 years.
March 16th. So this will be our episode. Wow.
Oh my God, Remy was barely a baby then,
Yeah.
and I'm looking more like my dad apparently.
Yeah.
You are.
TJ and I
You
were
are
just
indeed.
talking about gray hair before you got on the call.
My
And
dad.
loss of hair.
I wasn't married.
Happening.
7 years. Wow.
7
Crazy.
years.
Man, Invincible was ongoing.
Yeah.
Invincible wasn't over at the time. A lot has changed. Wow.
How
We
much
got
is
some-
going to change in another 7 years? One thing's for sure: we will not be
the
talking
animated
about.
series could
We will
be
not
over.
be talking about the movie. The animated series will be over.
It'll probably
Concluded.
be
Concluded.
It
And
will
there will
most
be no
likely
movie.
be concluded. Yeah, crazy. We're not going to do that time travel. We're not going to do that skip, or any predictions on that. But yeah, let us know what you think, and please, we this episode's going to have a lot of listener feedback in a different way than normal. But if you want to be a part of the show, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Find us over on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. Leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts. We love to see it. We read them on the episode when we get new ones. You can check out all of our episodes as well as handy reading guide if you're reading through Invincible and want to know where all the tie-ins fit in chronologically. If you want to see all of our videos together, apart from just checking it out on YouTube, you can find all that stuff over at theinvinciblepodcast.com. As TJ mentioned, we are also ChromaCast. TJ, you want to talk a bit about Chroma?
Yeah. Chroma is a great comic, and we do a podcast about it. It's called ChromaCast, and you can reach us over there at we're on Twitter at Chroma. I don't even know. At
Search
ChromaCast?
ChromaCast. Just
Yeah,
search
and then-
ChromaCast.
Yeah.
It'll come up.
yeah, we're there. We're around, and you can
Yeah.
email us at chromacastpodcast@gmail.com and let us know what you think. All
right.
3 issues are out, and they're oversized issues, so there's a lot of story in there.
Oh, yeah.
3 issues out of 4 are out. You can go and read those, and then the 4th issue will be out in April. So you have plenty of time to catch up, and then listen to the podcast and be our friends and
That's such a
and stuff.
fun show that we do with
Wyatt Layne.
our friend that provides the music for this show and for ChromaCast. We get into some really cool discussions and theories and everything about what's going on with that. And Lorenzo De Felici is amazing as a
So good.
just as a creator in general.
Who we were all so surprised
Yes.
that he
First news
is
item,
such a-
TJ. You want to take it?
is such a good. Well, sure, we can transition. But I was gonna say we were so surprised that he is such a good writer on top of being such an amazing artist. But yes, first news item. Speaking of Lorenzo De Felici and Robert Kirkman titles, they just announced a new ongoing comic universe that Kirkman and Lorenzo are back together again.
That's right. Coming out in June. It's called Void Rivals.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Now there was an article that was attached to that, right? When they released it,
I
no?
believe so.
did you
There
guys
was.
read it? Did you read it about any kind of synopsis? Because I didn't, and from what I saw, it said it seemed like one of the universes was familiar. Is this right?
Yeah. So let's see. Perry, as Morgan Perry, the brand manager for Skybound, pitched Void Rivals as for fans of Saga and Star Wars, further describing the series as focusing on the survivors of two warring societies fighting for survival on the rim of a black hole. Two opposing pilots will crash on a planet and discover a threat to the entire universe. So they'll have to work together or doom the galaxy, and we're guessing we get a bit of both. Void Rivals.
On the rim of a black hole? We run into Radiant Black?
Void Rivals sounds like it has all the makings of Image, Skybound, and Kirkman's next big hit, and we're sure the hype machine from all three will give us lots to talk about before the series debut in June. So,
that sounds awesome.
Oh, I didn't notice there were preview pages. There are 4 preview pages. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It looks different than anything else they've done or Lorenzo's done because the coloring is different than what we've seen before from his style. It's a little bit more watercolor looking. That looks awesome. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm not going to look anymore because I want to keep it as much as I can a surprise as Bill is frantically searching for this. So, TJ,
That's super exciting, though.
Did you see the preview pages or no?
No.
Cool.
And I won't.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really exciting, and I think it was one of my predictions that Kirkman would
for this year.
For this year, that Kirkman would announce a brand new IP, and so he did.
Yep. Did not expect it to come from him and Lorenzo though. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Did not expect that at all. Super stoked about it though.
We before we get any further and talking a little bit more Invincible, just overall spoiler warning for anybody that stumbled on this video looking or podcast looking for Invincible content. If you have only watched the show, we do spoil comic related things. So going forward, listen at your own risk, watch at your own risk. We're going to be talking about our favorite covers from across the entire series. And a lot of these covers are going to have some spoilery imagery. Not entirely, but just you've been warned. But let's continue with our Invincible related news here. First up, this one, TJ, I definitely want to hear from you. Greg Capullo teased a drawing of Invincible. What's this about? Because I went back to it and was like, oh, I'm sure this was just a commission. And I went looking for the full image because he usually posts the full images after commissions, and there wasn't one. And him calling it a tease? What's this about?
So I also did the same thing. And like thinking about it more after I sent it to you guys and we were talking about it is, I feel like it's more than that. I feel like it's going to be something for the upcoming hardcovers or something. There's something there.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's nothing
it's
more
not
than
just a
that.
commission.
I mean, it could even just be like a promotional poster or something like that.
I highly doubt Greg Capullo is doing anything more than that. He's not going to be like writing any story or anything.
Yeah, if he's working on something now, it should be ready by San Diego, and by then, maybe there'll be a variant or like an exclusive, issue 1 or whatever from Capullo. You know what I mean? For San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. So that would be my guess.
Capullo did Haunt.
He did.
Mm-hmm. So then that means that they like know each other.
Oh yeah, like there's.
I mean, they're industry friends, I'm sure, but like that's.
Yeah, there's a connection there. But we haven't gotten a Capullo Invincible, have we, TJ?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, certainly not an official cover. So that'd be pretty cool.
No.
Very neat. Speaking of variants, last week we had the series finale for Comics Vault Live, which saw a few issues put up with signature series 9.8 with all 3 of the main big 3, Kirkman, Ottley, and Walker signatures on them. Congrats to anybody that's grabbed those. We also received our Piccolo variants. Anybody that got those from the previous Comics Vault Live, those have been arriving. They look amazing. Super happy with those issues, and wanted to give a shout out to Sean Kirkham, Big Clutch, who's no longer with Skybound, but I wanted to make sure everybody knows that he does have a Substack. You could just find it by searching for Big Clutch Substack. Keep up with what he's been up to. I'm very excited to see what he does in the future. Big loss for Skybound, but very excited to see what he does next. So yeah,
it is sad. Yeah, but exciting.
Yeah. Next up, an Invincible related news: Invincible trainee program. This was a little out of nowhere. Did not expect something like this, but just the fact that this exists as an actual like headline is a little crazy to think about, like where we've come. So this is over on Skybound's actual website, skybound.com, launching the Invincible Trainee Program. We are excited to launch the Invincible Trainee Program at Skybound Animation. Our paid 4-month trainee program aims to provide new voices in animation a chance to hone their skills and contribute to our 2D animated series, Invincible. These creatives will receive hands-on experience working directly within the teams that bring our powerful, compelling superhero story to life. They go on to talk about who they're looking for and a little bit more about the job description and how to apply for it and the eligibility for it as well. Pretty cool, right? I thought that was really interesting. The fact that like they're seriously doubling down on Invincible as an animation, staffing up, making sure they have a solid size team, especially to work on this thing. So, because you got to think they've obviously been in animation for a little bit of time now. The fact that they're like staffing up even more is a good sign.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Next up, Ryan Ottley teased Ultimate Library. Let's try that again.
Almost.
Ultimate Library Collection, Volume 4. So for anyone that knows, the Ultimate Library collections were things that came out back in the day, and they stopped making them after Volume 3 because the sales weren't there to justify making these things. They were more expensive, they're bigger, collections, and they stopped making them after Volume 4. So.
And they were awesome too, and I wanted them. And then the reason why I never started collecting them was because they did stop.
It wasn't the full collection, yeah. So those were up to issue 70. They did say that along with Volume 4, they will be doing a reprint of Volume 1. So if you had a hard time finding Volume 1, that will be a little bit easier to find now. So yeah, Volume 4, issues 71 to 96. Ryan Ottley posted the cover for it, or one of the artworks for it. The neat thing about the library collections is that, they're dual-sided on what the artwork is, and then when you take the slip cover off, it's the same character, but like bloodied up and everything like that. So it's a really cool effect. This is also the biggest format.
I was going to say, the coolest thing for me is that it's the full-size original page size of 11 by 17.
They're huge. It is, they're right over my shoulder, right there. It definitely feels like a very premium way of reading this. Like having the hardcover, having these giant pages is very cool. Like my preferred reading style is Ultimate Collections, a little bit easier to grab. I just know in my mind what each hardcover is. That's the way I always started reading it. So I know, okay, Volume 6 is this, Volume 10 is that.
Nerd.
Yeah. Well, we're doing an Invincible podcast, so
Touché.
But these would be one library collection is 2 Ultimate Collections. So yeah. Very neat. So I'm assuming that we will see the rest of these volumes 5 and 6 completing the collection. Then we've got Skybound releasing another one of those videos. We got to see a couple of these last month. This one was continuing that whole, looks like, shoot that they did with Robert Kirkman, Ryan Ottley, and Corey Walker over with Skybound. This time it was all about, it was titled Invincible versus the World. And it was about, pitting Invincible against different characters and different,
It was Super Fight.
It was Super Fight, essentially. You're right.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It felt when Ottley was trying to defend his
God.
Hulk would beat, the logic behind it sounded like the three of us doing a Super Fight. I was like, oh man, I know this. It was a good video.
I thought it was a
My
lot of
favorite
fun.
part, I don't know if I want to spoil it for those who haven't watched it. If you
Well,
haven't
pause
watched
this
it, go
video,
watch it.
go check it out. It's over on Skybound's YouTube page. Watch it and come back and finish this and see what TJ has to think about it.
Are you back? Can I spoil
yeah.
it now?
Yes.
Okay. So the end of the last one they ask is Invincible versus Debbie. And they could go in the way of, they could make a joke and be like, oh, Debbie, could. No, Kirkman was like, oh, Debbie's going to be obliterated. Just a puddle
Very
of goo.
polite
It's like,
pile of goo. And like
My
even,
favorite
and
part.
Corey Walker getting a kick out of him not giving the answer they wanted, thinking that
Yeah.
it was going to be that kind of thing.
My favorite part was Kirkman talking about how boring Superman is.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny how like they would be talking about, I think it was Homelander right off the beginning, and they were just saying like, oh, it might be a tough fight, and so on. And then they were like, but black suit, Invincible. Oh, he would take him on. Like talking about Invincible in that way that they just have that shorthand, like, oh yeah, black and blue suit, Invincible. Oh yeah, he'd fuck him up,
And there are so many people. A lot of people that are watching that video have no idea
what that means.
black and blue suit is and why he would fuck him up, but yellow suit wouldn't.
So that was that was neat.
I also like how he was like, oh, by the way, I talked to Seth Rogen, and even he agrees that Invincible
Seth
would
Rogen
beat
and
up,
Evan Goldberg.
Yeah.
He dropped both their names.
Yep.
who are producers of the Boys show.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. I mean, this is what we were talking about with this being the 20th anniversary. If we can get something small, even like that, to show that they're like keeping it alive at this point, like keeping that train rolling. We're not into like big news yet. The show is, still a little bit off, but it seems like they're committed to releasing something. We're not going to go, hopefully not much more than a month at this point without them doing something, even something little to keep, to have something worth posting about on Instagram or YouTube or something. So I think we're through the drought for the most part. But even getting little videos like this, we went all of last year without anything like that. And so really appreciate that and hope they keep that kind of stuff up because that was a lot of fun.
The fact that Kirkman in the video called this one a segment, because like they weren't expecting this for this segment, makes me think there's going to be at least one more video that probably comes out in March.
Yeah.
From that interview.
I mean, a segment is just a portion. It could be the second part of what they already recorded. You know what I mean? Sure.
You're so negative. Oh, you're so negative.
See how it is, TJ? Ugh. You're right. I take it back.
And then we've got, I'm just trying to find it here. We also, just today, there was an email that went out to Skybound Insiders talking about San Diego Comic-Con. So that was them announcing that they're going to Comic-Con. This is, let's see. We're making sure fans hear it first. Skybound Entertainment is coming to San Diego Comic-Con International 2023. Experience the world premiere of our first ever standalone booth at the show, featuring exclusive appearances, signings, announcements, and more from all of your favorite stories in the Skybound universe. And join our very special plans to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Invincible and The Walking Dead.
Fun. We're going to be there.
Fun.
Very cool.
We're going to be there.
Man.
It is huge that they have their own booth now. Remember it's always been Image. Like they're just a little
section of
part,
Image.
Right. They have a section of Image. So like they're going to have an Invincible section. They're going to have a Walking Dead section. Like it's like huge.
Dude, the Invincible section, Can you, come on.
Obviously it would have been amazing to be at San Diego Comic-Con in 2020 with the the build up to the animated series and everything like that. But man,
there's gonna be toys.
This is going to be like
toys, clothes, books, just things.
Yeah,
things all over the place. It's like walking into an Invincible store. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I hope it's like that.
It's gonna be amazing. Can't wait. I think that was all I had for Invincible related news.
What a pretty song that was, Ryan.
Thank you.
I took it as like poet, like when
slam poetry.
Slam poetry.
Like poetry, like that was all I had.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into our main topic here. You guys ready for this?
Just to put it into perspective.
I actually had to do this one.
You did.
I know. I had to put forth effort. Go on, TJ.
Just to put into perspective that we've been doing this for 7 years. We started in 2016. Some 2016 movies: Deadpool, Moana, Kung Fu Panda 3.
Okay.
They seem new to you? I feel like they
all seem new except for Deadpool.
La La Land.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know that's not a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
I feel like Deadpool came out forever.
Deadpool's the only one on there that felt like it was a
if
while
you were to
ago.
say like Blade, then it'd be like, oh, all right. That's old, you know?
Arrival.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that old.
Oh, yeah. That
Moonlight won the Oscar that year.
Mm-hmm.
Dory, Finding Dory. That feels old. Even though I've never seen it.
feels a little old, yeah.
Sausage Party.
That
I'm
feels
just gonna
a little
keep.
old.
Just gonna
You're
keep
just
naming
gonna
movies.
keep naming movies.
Hacksaw Ridge.
I was gonna say you're gonna start getting to the point where the movies are not recognizable.
The Magnificent Seven.
A little tough to talk today.
Angry Birds.
All
Okay.
right.
All right, I'm done.
So the main topic for this episode is going to be our top Invincible covers. So these are our standout Invincible covers. A couple things of note first. This should be, and I think for the most part is, entirely just about the cover. This is not like my favorite issue, because I have favorite issues, several favorite issues that are my favorite issues that are not listed as my favorite
I
cover.
think you're gonna be surprised at a couple of my picks because of that.
That's why I'm putting that out there. This is just about the cover. It's not about our favorite issue. And so we'll talk a little bit about why we like that cover and like, you know, why it got that spot over certain other ones. But we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna go around. We're gonna each give our picks in order, you know, one at a time, and then we're gonna give the community picks. We asked months ago. We put out a poll and people were able to vote on it. I might leave it open just for the hell of it. So if you found that poll, I'll probably put it in the description of this video and this podcast episode. So if you wanted to go on there and vote it, and then maybe a year from now or whatever, I'll revisit it and see if that changed at all. We had a decent number of people vote on it. So this
thanks
should be
for voting.
So it should be pretty fun to see like what the community's top 5 was versus our top 5s. And then at the end, we're going to take a quick break. It'll be a second for you guys, but I'm going to tally them all up, award points based on what slot they were in the top 5. And then we're going to come up with an overall top 5.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It should be fun. This should be different. If you're listening to this episode, go check out the video version over on YouTube, because I'm going to be putting the images from all these, and that will make this a whole lot more interesting. But for the audio listeners, every time we give a number, we'll give a brief description of what that cover is.
Yeah, there'll be vivid descriptions, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I will say I learned something about myself when tallying these down, or when
yeah.
I think I learned that I like gore and I like simplicity.
The minimalistic thing I can get behind, because I think a lot of mine have that. I also want to say I didn't wait till the last minute, but I did this earlier today because I knew it wasn't going to be hard. Went through, immediately narrowed it down to 15 right off the bat. Okay, these are my top 15, and then I was like, okay. Bam, down to 7, easily down to 7. Even though that 15, I loved all of those. But then immediately down to 7. And then from those 7, most of those are interchangeable, man. Even like my top 5 are like, man,
they are.
Any day I could be like, nah, this one's now my number 1. But in the moment, today, these are my top 5 in order.
So in the past, when we've ranked things, we have a tendency to say, these are my ranked. Oh, but this is an honorable mention, and this is an honorable mention, and this is an honorable mention. Yeah. And it kind of defeats the purpose of the top. Yeah. So we've decided that we're going to each do one honorable mention.
Which is hard because
that's it. And that's it.
My top 10 is like, oh, but don't forget about this one. But don't forget about this one. So you can't even do that. You can't even just be like, all right, this is an honorable mention, but I want to talk about these 15 other covers.
All right. So who's going to start?
I will start.
All right, so TJ, you're going to start.
Honorable mention?
Yes.
Or with number 5?
We're going to go around with our honorable mentions. I know those would normally come at the end, but we're going to start with honorable mentions. These are ones that just didn't quite make our top 5. So TJ, I'm going to your listeners viewers of the podcast will have them displayed, but we have them all sent to ourselves.
I originally did not have this as my honorable mention. I had it as my number 5, but seeing them all side by side, there's another one that I had to put in my 5.
You can't do that.
So no, I'm keeping this. I'm changing my honorable mention to a different and putting another one in my top 5. So my honorable mention is issue 51, which was the Jim Lee cover, and I just love that Jim Lee did a cover. Just the
Oh,
fact that Jim Lee did a cover is awesome. Like, he's like the biggest name in comic art. I can't even imagine what this raw cover would go for.
Oh my God.
I mean, if he scribbles on a page, he's like Frank Miller. Like, he scribbles on a page and it's worth thousands.
It is pretty amazing that we got a Jim Lee cover for Invincible.
When I was scrolling through, I knew that this would be somewhere in there, TJ, solely because it's Jim Lee. It might not be the best cover or even like my top 10, but it's important. I think it's an important.
There you go. That's a good way. I think we're going to say that a lot, because I agree, Bill. It wasn't in my top 10, but such an important cover.
Right.
Yes.
I love it. Good call, TJ. And of course, being Jim Lee, like, it's got that little bit of a Robin vibe going on with, Oliver.
I actually got this comic signed by Jim Lee and Ryan Ottley. And I asked Jim Lee if I'm like, I mean, he's like part owner of DC or something, right? Like, he's like one of the heads.
Yeah.
I asked him, I was like, did you read Invincible? Like, when you did the cover? And he's like, I read a good portion of it, but I obviously stopped after a while. Like, it got away from me, but I thought it was cool. Like, Jim Lee's read a good portion of Invincible. He said he really enjoyed it.
That's great.
So there's my honorable mention. Who's
Bill?
going next?
You want me to do my honorable mention? All right.
Yep.
So
I got to go to Bill's now.
All right. Let me know when you got it pulled up.
Ready? Go ahead.
All right. So my honorable mention, and this was tough because it was in my top 5, but I felt like the only reason why I was doing it was because of what it was.
Yeah.
You're going to be surprised. I think maybe 47. So this is an issue with Tether Tyrant.
Dude. Yes.
You know what? It's not just because it's them. It's because of the quality of this fucking art. Like the lighting.
Yeah, man.
The color is absolutely.
Bill, you go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Bill, this was in my top
amazing.
10. It didn't make my top 6, but it was in my top 10. It was tough to move. Everything you're saying, Bill, but then there's the added personal connection that this was the first issue I ever bought.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, like, this issue, so I still have the issue. Like, this was right when we started reading Invincible, and this was the latest issue of the month, and so I have a lot of connection to this one, but I ultimately had to cut it. It's a good one, though. It's a very good one.
It absolutely would have been in my top 10, obviously, if it's an honorable mention.
This is,
it is very pretty.
Tether Tyrant and Magmaniac.
Crabtree? Yeah. Very, very.
Right.
I'm not sure if he did the colors on that one, but yeah. My honorable mention, much like TJ, is going to be a variant. This is issue 100 Cliff Rathburn variant. Always loved this variant. It was my phone screensaver for a really long time. Just something so different. The minimalistic design of it, just him taking up the entire thing. And again, Walking Dead, man. Walking Dead was such a big deal to us. It's what got us back into comics and introduced us to Robert Kirkman. So having that connection, and for such a monumental issue, Cliff Rathburn issue 100 variant, that was my honorable mention that I wished to it.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I wished I could have included it, but like with the Jim Lee one, it was kind of important.
I love that it's so prominently, like, his torso and body is like a very specific shape.
I was going to say the perspective,
you know what I mean? Like,
is different. Like, like it's like he's flying over and you just like barely missed him.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's not very enjoyable to look at, but it is
realistic.
Yes. Yeah, it's like he flew over,
And somewhere at one point I had gotten but Cliff Rathburn had posted the art without the trade dress, without the text and everything like that. So it being that simple thing that made an awesome wallpaper for a phone, I loved it. So yeah. All right. So this is these are our top 5s. TJ, what is number 5?
So the one I originally had as an honorable mention, but the more I look at it, it needs to be my top 5. Issue 120 of Thrag, just bloody and beaten, like gore, blood pouring down. His eyeball has popped out. His he looks so fucked up. It's so good.
The way that I tried to judge my covers were, if I were new to comics, would I pick it up off the shelf just because of the cover? And this absolutely is in my top 10, TJ. Yeah. 1000% understand why you picked it.
Yeah, TJ, I honestly am thought that this might have been a little bit higher on yours. So I'm glad you took this out of your honorable mention and put it in, because it definitely deserves a spot on your list.
For sure.
What you were talking about, where you said, like, is it something on the shelf that you would want to pick up if you didn't read Invincible? Mine, when I was looking at my list of 15 or all the 15 images next to each other, there were certain ones where I just, like, my eyes would pass over and I'd have this reaction that'd be like, oh, like, if I saw that, I need to have it. Like, I want to touch it. Every time I see that cover, I just need to pick it up. So it's that similar feeling where it's like, once I got in that mindset, it was easy for me to just be like, yep, this one, yeah, and so on. Bill, number 5.
My number 5?
Yep.
All right. So, man, this one, it's really hard between the last two, the honorable mention and this one. But this one is just, like, very, I don't know, there's something very somber about it. Issue 90.
I knew you were going to go to that one next.
90? Yeah.
So it has so much going on in it, in such a very, like, theatrical poster kind of way. Like, this is like Invincible the movie, you know what I mean, with all the different characters.
Dude, it does look like a movie poster.
And the fact that it has Dinosaurus in it, obviously. But I love it. Do you remember who that villain is, TJ?
Yes. It's like something like Abominable, or like something Abomination or something.
The Walking
Dread.
The Walking Dread. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever, like, noticed this cover. This is not something that I was expecting anyone to call out. But looking at it and how you're talking about it, I get it.
There is so much on it. It's like it's drawn as though it were a splash page, but on a cover. Like, you know what I mean?
It
like,
kind of looks like a trade paperback cover rather than like an issue cover.
Yeah. It's very somber. Like, it's very different from some of these other covers where it's like zany and he's in Tether Tyrant, and then you have this one where
it's very unique.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Ryan? Up.
Oh, I'm up. My number 5. So this one,
I'm gonna try to go to it before.
Yeah, right, you're gonna try and guess it.
I got it.
This is one that I did not think I would see more than once today. Issue 97. This is
literally the one I said that you would have. That's why I pulled it up.
This is Bulletproof staring at a blood splatter on the wall.
Ryan, I 100% knew this was going to be brought up by you.
Yeah. It's one of those covers that...
It is great.
And it's definitely not a top 3, but it was a 4 or 5. Like, there's just... It's the minimalistic thing, the unique storytelling behind it, what that meant in that moment, how much that cover conveys, and who this character was. And
which is who?
I mean, Bulletproof looking at the blood splatter on the wall. And the thing that makes this a top 10, a top 5 cover, instead of just a top 15 or 10 or whatever, is the fact that he is wearing one suit and seeing the other in the blood, in the reflection. That's what takes this cover to the next level.
He's wearing Invincible and looking at himself in Bulletproof costume.
And back when we were first starting this podcast and really into Invincible, when Ottley's Invincible art was much more attainable, this cover was for sale for so long on the store for still way too much that I could have afforded, but this was there was the option to get it, and there was no way I could have. Still much less than probably even commissions are now by Ottley, but I just wasn't able to do it. But this was the closest I ever got to actually purchasing a cover too. But yeah, cool cover. I've always liked it. So there are our top 5s. TJ, give us your number 4.
This is getting tough.
I know, right?
My number 4.
Make sure you're keeping yours straight, because I'm going to ask for them when we go to tally them.
My number 4 is also a 100 variant, but a different variant. It is Corey Walker's 100 variant. I don't know if anyone who's listening, I don't know if you've seen Invincible Trivia, but we talked about it like for a quick second there because it was one of the answers. But how this is a reverse shot of the iconic issue 1. Yeah. It's looking at what Mark is looking at, and it's just all of the big time Invincible villains, even the small time Invincible villains.
Oh, yeah.
There's everyone here. Everybody. It's such a smart idea, and it's so cool. And it's Corey Walker.
Yeah.
So So good. I love this cover.
Yeah,
Should it be higher? Oh no,
it is great.
It's good. It's good where it is, but damn, that's such a great cover.
It was in my top 10. I had to cut it for
So good.
reasons that I'll get into later.
Yeah.
Bill, what is your number 4 Invincible cover?
My number 4 is issue, and it's pretty low on my list. 63. So this is gonna be TJ's number 1 probably.
Wow.
It's Conquest, Invincible holding his broken arm. Like this fucking I remember having this in front of me where I was when I was reading it at work when I worked for PacSun, and my God, like brutal for obvious reasons. I think I'm gonna get a little slack for having it so low in my top 5.
No.
But
I mean, you have it in your top 5.
yeah, I know, TJ. I knew it.
I don't. It's not
I'm
in my
not
top
giving
5.
any
It is
spoilers
in
away,
it is a
but
it is,
I will say, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
your top 5
I'm
is your
saying-
top 5, but I'm seeing your top 5, and yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
saying, I'm saying that the community, the Invincible community, will be like, oh my God, issue 63 cover is like number 1. It's like Shawshank Redemption. It's like everyone's.
I will say that I've been. Never mind. I'll save it.
I was gonna say though, it's not in mine, but it's not even in my 10. But it's. I mean, I know, TJ. I know. It's just one of those. Like, let me put it this way, TJ. You said you go towards gore and minimalistic.
Right.
I don't go towards the gore. The gore ones don't really.
It scares me.
No, I just
too scary.
It's scary.
I just don't. I don't
You get
know. I don't
nightmares.
want to look at it. It's fucking disgusting.
That's why I
Yeah,
want
but
to look at it.
hasn't even Ryan Ottley said that he like grosses him out sometimes? Like man, that Thrag one, God, the eye is slit. Anyways, I can't. I can appreciate it. It is a stunning cover. It's amazing, and it encapsulates so well what is this issue. But not for me.
Yeah. Your number 4, Ryan.
My number 4. My number 4 is. Just want to make sure I got my notes here. My number 4 is going to be 110. So, I struggled with. I wanted a hand cover. I really wanted a hand cover. You have the first hand cover with issue 11, then the next one during Conquest with Eve's hand being that homage to 11 with Omni-Man's hand. But then this one was a callback to a callback, and then added the layers on top of it for a huge issue, having the added moment of 2 hands, twice as cool. And then you get the fact that I used this as an inspiration for the variant that I had Ryan Ottley, the blank cover that I had Ryan Ottley draw on with Robot and Monster Girl. So this represents to me all hand covers, and I had to pick one. Therefore, 110 gets the cake.
I'm surprised this is not higher on your list, Ryan.
I know.
Thought for
it's tough.
sure, because I know you're a very sentimental kind of guy, and I knew that this was your fucking jam. This one in particular too.
Yeah.
Not the other ones. The other ones because they're hands, great, awesome. But
I'm
this
telling
is
you,
the one.
Any minute, it's just how I felt today. But any minute, my top 5 can move, and that's why. So, yeah. All right, TJ.
Number 3.
Number 3. Oh, this is so impossible.
I know this is really hard.
All right, my number 3 is issue 50. Again, with a kind of simplistic. It's Invincible and Cecil just like dropping to his knees and kind of like, I love Cecil grabbing his costume and just the wrinkle that's there, and it's just so clean.
The wrinkle on the chest. Oh,
it's so clean. It's just an all white background. It looks so slick. It looks so sleek, and
it almost looks like a statue.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's important what it represents too. Like it's so jarring because it's Invincible and Cecil. Like up until this point, you never think that you'd see this cover, you know, so that it's so iconic.
Yeah.
I love this. It's literally the center, because I have like comic book set up. It's the center of my like comic book with a bunch of comics behind it. It's just, it's so good. Love this cover. God damn, this is hard.
It really is. It really is.
Don't you feel like you could almost change your order now after you already made it?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Is it my turn?
Bill, it's your turn.
It is your number 3.
So my number 3, and I don't really have to go into a big long explanation, is issue 97. So this ranked higher for me, and I know TJ, I'm not a huge fan of Bulletproof.
This was the Bulletproof one.
Yep.
Yeah,
the one that we talked about that Ryan was.
I'm not a huge if I I'm like, when you guys talk about Bulletproof Story, I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen. That was pretty good. So I'm not a huge fan of him, the story, the fact that they swapped costumes, but this fucking cover, dude, I was just like,
I get it.
It
I totally
does not
get it.
matter what's on the inside.
I did not know. I can't believe that you have 97 higher than me. I did not know you liked this cover as much as you did.
Yeah.
That's awesome because it's a crazy cover.
It's fucking
awesome.
This was the one that I thought you guys would be like, oh, Ryan.
Oh, right.
Issue 97.
I knew you'd have it on yours, Ryan.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting Bill to have his, but I
justified.
I don't disagree at all.
And
Bill,
and you know what?
Bill, I agree with what you're saying. Did you freeze for it? Oh,
no, go ahead. I'm waiting for you. Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying. Like, I never really cared one way or the other for Bulletproof. I don't love him or hate him. His story is incredible, especially in this issue. But yeah, I felt the same way you did. But the cover is it's so smart. Again, like, it's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's great.
It's great.
Ryan,
Ryan,
3.
Your number 3.
My number 3, already talked about it today. Issue 50. Issue 50, like we were just talking about, it looks like a statue, that super cool design where it's the white background. It looks like the White Room. And as we already talked about earlier with issue 47, this was a couple months after I started picking up Invincible on the shelves.
Yeah.
Seeing this cover and what it meant. Oh, God. I remember seeing this cover in the back of, it must have been 49. I don't know if they teased it early with 48 or something. But I remember seeing the preview for this cover and being like blown away by that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool added thing with the variant, which I still like this one more, but the variant is all grayscale except for the blood. So it's this cool like gray and white and black and red, and like it's a cool combination of colors, which always looks really sharp. But issue 50, I mean, it's a solid, amazing cover that, checks all the boxes for me. So that's my number 3.
Number 2. Getting there, getting
TJ.
close.
Yep, number
It's
2.
on you, Teach.
I'm not gonna try and do the math to figure out what your number 1 is. I'm just gonna go right to your number 2.
My number 2 is issue 110.
Oh yeah.
Which, Ryan, you already talked about. It's the hands. And just to add on to what you were saying, I also love Eve's ring.
Oh
and
yeah, great.
The way that Bill talked about issue 47, the colors and how it shines. That this cover has that, and it again, like issue 50, it's simplistic and it looks so good when you just have the issue like in your hand. It looks so good.
Yeah.
It looks. I just love. I've always fucking loved this cover. I love issue 11 too, of Omni-Man's hand, and that's just an iconic issue.
Mm-hmm.
But this just, like you said, Ryan, it brings issue, what is it? Issue 11, issue 64, and then 110. Just kind of culminates the 3 issues together. Like,
yeah,
I love it.
And you're right though. The detail of having her ring there and what that means for this moment, and Mark's just ripped. Like it's not just the clean Invincible hand. Having it be torn and the blood coming off of it, and knowing that. I mean, Ryan Ottley has posted before the pictures of his hands. He like found them on his phone.
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
He has his poses of his hands that he used for reference. It's a great cover. You're right.
It's just so pretty.
Yeah.
Bill, you're number 2.
Bill, you're number 2.
My number 2. God, I fucking love this cover so much. So issue 57, which was part 1 of 2 of the Astounding Wolfman crossover with Invincible. Oh my God. First of all, let me just list all the reasons why I love it. So it's so alive, right? It's such an alive cover. Like it's a panel. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of action happening on it, like with the orange splash behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's fucking Ryan Ottley drawing Wolfman, like that's the coolest fucking thing. I love this issue. This was one of the first covers that I owned. Like it's like top 4 or 5. So yeah, it's just I love it, and I'm shocked that it couldn't be in your top 2 either.
So as you were saying other covers, because I had to flip through yours in order to see them, right? Because you sent them all together. Seeing this one, every time you would say one of your other covers, the reason why I had a shocked look on my face is like, is this Wolfman one really this like high on his list? I'm surprised it's even on your top 5. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I do like it, but I can't believe it's on your top 5. I feel
I love it.
To each his own.
I guess you could say like this fucking ranking kind of feels like we're trying to be bougie with Invincible, like, oh, look at the symmetry and the, you know what I mean, like but this cover, that's why I said it's fun and I love it, and maybe it's a guilty pleasure for top 5, but it's mine.
Yeah,
and I'll
for sure.
Top 2.
Honestly,
one thing
50,
I will say about this cover.
Go ahead.
Just
real quick, 50 through 60. You've got the Dropkick and Fight Master cover with the blue. You've got Mark and Eve with the pink, which was also in my top 10. You've got this cover. You've got Powerplex. Like, you've got such awesome covers when it's Black Suit Invincible. Those right up to 60 with with 60 with the Invincible War into the Conquest stuff. Like, that era, the covers matched the content. Like, they were incredible. So no, this is
There's something about Invincible's face in this cover that feels like Batman animated series. I don't know why.
It's
like his lip.
It's the lip.
It's his
it's
lip.
The upper lip.
It feels like, it looks like Batman animated series to me.
God, I just love it. I love everything about it.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, number 2.
Number 2. So hard, and I.
Oh my God.
I'm
worried.
I know. I want to change it.
Too.
No, I'm sorry. I want to change it, but I'm not going to change what I originally went with. 144, Corey Walker variant. Terra.
Number 2.
That's what I had it as my guess too. For you.
This is, oh God, this cover elicits such a reaction from me, like, because of what it meant. Like with the hands, and it's like, okay, this is the callback to the other hand covers. This is my issue 1 cover to me. Like, this is in my rankings, you know what I mean, when it comes to the covers. Because I'm not going to put issue 1 on here as much as I love the issue 1 cover. It's like putting 110 instead of 11. Having this be the final issue, having it be Terra, the artwork is stunning. The callback to issue 1, you know, I wanted the 100 Corey Walker reverse variant like you had, TJ, but like, if I have to pick one cover that is iconic and reminiscent of issue 1, this is the one that took it for me. God, we did a whole episode on this cover, you know what I mean? And when it was revealed and what it could mean. This was our first introduction to Terra. We didn't see her before this cover. She wasn't an adult at this time. So this meant so much. And it being the last like official cover, you know, and mirroring the first cover, like, God, this cover means so much. I love it.
I think it says a lot about a comic when in your first issue you have the hero, right? And then in the last issue you have his daughter, who is the same age as he was on the cover of his first issue. Like, that's incredible that much story happens, and it's like the continuity through it all, like keeping up with the times. Awesome. So like the fact that he wrote it so it could go full circle like that is just insane.
Yeah,
love it.
Interesting that this is our 7-year anniversary in speaking about this, but we started the podcast on issue 127. It was the first issue after Reboot. Every issue from 127 on, I think of them differently the way I do previous issues. Like, when I look at like issue 57, I look at issue 50, issue like 30. I remember how I was feeling and what I was thinking at that time. Anything from 127 on, I think of the podcast. I think of our conversations. I think of a new era of Invincible because we started the podcast. And looking at this cover just reminds me of us back then, instead of just me reading the comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember the conversation that we had about this and speculation and how we dug into everything way more than we should, and that hasn't changed in 7 years.
So that's why I think a lot of these covers are just, they're covers. They're meant to elicit a response based on not knowing anything else and what you are feeling in the moment that you see this thing that has nothing else to it. So we're tied to these feelings that we have based on one image as opposed to the content within it, which is what why we feel certain ways about these things, which is, I think, explains a lot about our top 5s. All right, guys.
So TJ, I think you're top 1.
Of
TJ.
course it's issue 63. I talk about it constantly. It's so good. It's so fucked up. The rocks in the background, how they're like that grayscale, different color. It's got that shine. Look at his stupid face. How it's so fucked. Look at his eye. Oh, like how angry he is, and the other one's like sewn shut or like bruised shut.
Oh my God, yeah. It's
So
just,
How could you
good.
say anything about
the broken arm?
His arm, yeah.
Oh,
dude.
the broken arm, the bone sticking out of his arm. Like it's so good. How his left arm is like shaded black, like the shadow. Everything about this cover. Everything. How ripped he looks.
yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I love this cover. I've played around with this cover like on different apps and stuff, and like doing like different like cool like color things. Like, oh my gosh, I love this cover. Love this cover.
Yep.
I remember it. It was when Felix put up comic art and started like after the series ended and was started doing more and more. This went on sale for like $5,000 at the time, and I think later it went out. It was like seeing it like for like $8,000. I have never wanted original art so badly in my life, but obviously I can't.
Yeah.
I don't got it like that. But
how does someone come back from this fight victorious? Like how like that's just so fucking great.
You have to be.
You saying you need to read it again? You gotta experience this.
Invincible.
DJ, he did it.
I did the thing,
Bill.
like the show.
Bill, give us your number one.
My number one is issue 99.
99.
Front and center. So first of all, the death of everyone was like Dinosaurus top tier. Like that was his story.
Yeah.
Plus this cover is just so fucking badass. Like I love it. I felt like I had to pick up a cover with Dinosaurus because I love him so much. But I also actually love this cover so much, and the fact that it's Dinosaurus is just like icing on the cake.
Bill, do you remember what is so special about this issue?
No.
Every single page is a full page spread.
Oh, really? See, I didn't even remember.
This
So cool.
I feel like this issue in general, I'm not just talking about the cover, but the issue in general is not talked about enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Amazing. Good stuff. All right.
Yep.
My number one, issue 100, as if we didn't say issue 100 enough times today.
There were also like 100 freaking issue 100 variants. So
yeah, of course. So it's metal. Guys, it's metal. It's a metal cover. Something about this chromium edition of issue 100, not only is it double-sided, but it has that awesome metallic effect to it. It has everybody laying dead. It's Dinosaurus attacking Invincible. Like and this was a callback or a connection to Walking Dead 100, which came out previously. So it's that kind of thing. So there's that Walking Dead. Wow, my honorable mention, my first one and my last one were both ties to Walking Dead in a way. But this, now, as we've already mentioned multiple times, and why these covers are meaningful to us in a way and where we were in the moment, like I brought up a couple times, issue 50 was a big deal to us because we had just really gotten into Invincible and that whole moment with him and Cecil. This was a monument for us. 50 issues had gone by. We had been reading this monthly for years. And so like this was a milestone. It still is, like 100 issues. So for there to be all these covers, which we've already talked about a dozen times, and for this double-sided cover, which it killed me to take issue 75 off. I feel like we're going to get roasted for not saying 75. Jesus,
there's a ton of them.
The fold-out cover, but I had to get something.
3 connecting covers of 50. There's so many.
I know, but I had to get something that was double-sided. I love seeing something that's double-sided, especially in a CGC protected thing that I can like stare at this thing and like just. Oh my God, it's amazing. You got the Guardians on there, like the new Guardians of the Globe. Like Pegasus is on the back.
Yeah.
Just that, like this issue just like encapsulated the world, the universe of Invincible, and that was pretty cool. So that issue meant a lot to me. So it was one of those things that like when thinking about favorite covers, the chromium, and the word chromium is cool. That issue always stuck out to me, even though, yeah, TJ, 110 probably should be higher on my list. Like that Cory Walker variant of 144 should probably be my number one. But for some reason, this chromium one has always stuck with me like that. You know what it is? I'm like getting psychological here. The thing that got me into superheroes and comics and stuff like that was the X-Men animated series, which a lot of people our age totally. But around that time, I used to walk to a convenience store near where I lived, and I would buy the Fleer X-Men cards. It was like Fleer 1992 X-Men cards, and they were all chromium. They were all this material, and they had this like metallic thing to them. And so they had certain versions. I have one on my shelf behind me of Cyclops, but they all had that certain style, and it's such a 90s comic book kind of like nostalgic thing. So this is like a monumental thing for this series that had become beloved to us, kind of pulling the nostalgia strings for why it was special. So yeah, seems random. It's not a big deal issue. Like, I don't think, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not on the community picks, but it was just one of those things that meant something to me.
See, that's funny because like our top two feel like they're a little bit more personal and like not what you'd think people would choose. Which
is what I think it should be. You know, it's something that, like we already talked about.
Like your top five, like, you know, your top 5, 4, like those are the ones that are like interchangeable. You know what I mean? But I feel like the ones that are
movies,
dear to your heart, right?
Like Bill, how long has it been since your number one movie has changed?
Yeah.
Not since you've seen that movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it changes.
But if I asked you what your top 4 or your number 4 and 5 or 6 movie, those can kind of float around a little bit.
Yeah.
So that does it. That is each of our top 5 Invincible covers. Now let's hear from the community. Guys, I am going to send you one image.
I feel like I know what the overall is going to be.
I'll describe them to you because I didn't give you images for these. So if there's one you don't know, just ask and I'll double check it. Or just type it into your phone or whatever if you need an image. But first of all, there was a 4-way tie. The community is getting eight votes. So they're getting a top 8.
As it should be.
Yeah. I would have gone top 10, but this is where their percentage is kind of made out to be their top 5. So number 5 is a 4-way tie. Each of these got 15% of the vote. Dead on. Exactly 15%.
Wow.
So they are issue 1.
Of course.
OG cover.
Yep.
Issue 50. Yep. That we've already talked about today. Issue 111. First time we talked about that today.
That is a great cover.
Great cover. It's the 111 with robot punching Mark.
Yeah, that's
all red in the background, like the big numbers on the front.
That was in my top violent. 10. That was in my top 10.
Was it?
Yeah.
Issue 144. Just the final issue cover, not the Cory Walker variant.
Grand Regent.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Grand Regent Mark, which shout out to the End of All Things covers and all having that similar layout where it was the character with the events behind them and everything like that. Loved all of those and wanted to include one of those, especially like the 75s where those were doing the bar across the bottom that always had a different image in it. That layout was also really cool. So yeah, that is in the 5th position for the community. 150, 111, and 144. Okay. So the top 4 for the community. Number 4, 110. The hands reaching.
That's number 4?
Mark and Eve. That is number 4.
I thought for sure it was going to be higher. I thought for sure. Okay. I'm curious now. Now I'm curious. Because I thought for sure that was going to be like 2 or 1.
Yeah. Next up, and I'm surprised this didn't come up with any of us. It was on my short list. It was on my 10.
This is 3?
This is number 3 for the community. Issue 115. Battle Beast.
Oh,
this is the green one with Battle Beast charging.
Yep.
So,
Bill.
Yeah. No, I did. And I thought like it was because it was Battle Beast. Like it's a really cool cover. It's a cool cover.
It's a really cool cover.
I mean, it doesn't, hit here.
Yeah, and that's what we decided, man. It's just gotta hit there. Well, it hit there for the community. 18.3% gave it to 115. So number 2 from the community, and this was 20% of the community picked this one. And this is issue 84. I just sent it to you guys. Another shocker. I did not expect this one to be so highly ranked. Number 2. A stunning cover, though.
Simplicity.
The minimalistic thing, man. It is just the all black cover with Mark standing there holding his mask. Very reminiscent of like a Spider-Man kind of No More thing. I
feel bad that I don't know who, but we know somebody that has this cover. I don't know if it's Mike Barrett or if it's Rob Hagemeister. Somebody has this cover.
Yeah.
But that is very cool.
Very cool cover. And again, one of those covers that just kind of like on there. Pop, that just like really stand out when it's on a shelf or something.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Community voted. So
come on.
20% and down were the 2 to 5. With 38.3% of the vote.
It's a pretty substantial jump.
Issue 1, 63.
Yeah.
DJ had to do the math. Yep. Issue 63.
You said issue 1, and I was like,
yeah, and then you said,
I'm sorry.
63.
I'm sorry. Number one. Issue 63.
Fucking right. Yeah.
Yep.
It should be. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Wait, that's number 1?
Number 1.
63.
That doesn't surprise me.
Fucking love it.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
So that's got to be our overall, right?
At number 2? I thought we were only on number 3.
No, the number 2 was the black cover.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. And the number 3 was Battle Beast. And number 4 was the 110 hands. Yep. So awesome. That was great. So thank you all for posting and submitting your votes for the community picks. We're going to take a quick break. It's only going to be a second for you, but I'm going to tally these up, give, 50 points to the number 1 pick, 40 points to the number 2 pick, and so on. And we're going to come up with the overall top 5 with the community and the 3 of us all tallying them together. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. So numbers didn't quite work, but I'll tell you what we did get. Well, because a lot of them were, if we assign values to each of those positions, then the number 5 is, number 4 and 5 are going to be Bill and I's top 1 because we're the only ones that voted on it. And it got 50 points because they were our number 1. So that would be 99 and Chromium 110. I'm sorry, 100.
We didn't think this through.
Yeah, could have thought that through a little bit more. Well, if there were, if we had actually done it by person and had that many people and then tier it that way, or we just voted in the community as well instead of the community counting as 1/4 chair.
Well, we can say that.
But anyways, we do know for a fact that 63 is number 1.
Yes.
That was high up
all around.
The community voted on it. You and Bill voted on it. That gets the most flowers. That one won. 110 got the second most praise. That got pretty close to the third position. But 110 with the 2 hands also got a ton of votes. And then issue 50, of course, got the third most amount of points. So definitely the top 3 being issue 63 and issue, I just had it. 110 and 50. Yep. So big issues that meant a lot to us. And so what I want to know is leave a comment below if you're watching the YouTube version. Let us know what covers are your favorites, if it was listed in any of our lists, or list your whole top 5 in the comments below. Let's see what you got to think or what you think about it. And I will leave the poll up if people wanted to vote on that. And who knows, maybe a year or 7 from now, we'll go through and revisit that.
Oh, man.
Revisit that list and see how much it's changed, But yeah, so this was a lot of fun. This was really cool. I don't know. I got to say,
I learned a lot about myself. Like
exactly.
I feel like TJ,
I'm a little
who said
impressed.
that? TJ, you said
did.
that? Yeah. But I did. I was like, wow, I like this bulletproof cover. This is fucking crazy. Like,
yeah. Oh, and we can't talk about covers without bringing up the thing that TJ owns that I want the most. And that's that Italian hardcover covers book for Invincible. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so cool. It was exclusive through, sold at Luca in 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
No.
And it's 11 by 17, full cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just a book of just covers.
Just the covers. Guys, Skybound, anyone that has made it this far, that has any kind of, deciding power, make another covers book. I know it'd be outdated after 1 year because you guys keep making covers, but man, I just want a book of all the released Invincible covers that we can flip through.
Or just re-release it in the U.S. I mean,
just same book.
Release the same book. That'd be amazing. That has one cover that the U.S. didn't even get, which was a variant for Luca, drawn and illustrated by, I want to say it was drawn by Ryan Ottley, but colored by Annalisa Leone from Oblivion Song, which is an awesome cover.
Also a trivia question for Invincible trivia. We did part 2.
The Lorenzo De Felici cover was in my top 10. We can talk about honorable mentions forever.
Well, we can't do it though.
But we're not going to do it. That breaks the rules. But I just did one. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you all for checking us out. If you're hearing this awesome outro music, same music from the beginning, this is by our friend Wyatt Layne. Go check him out over on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Spotify, all that good stuff. And I think that does it for us. Remember to email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com with your thoughts on your favorite covers. And we'll be back next month. If there's any major Invincible news, we'll be back to talk about that and everything else. Otherwise, maybe it's time for another co-creator. And is it time? Is it time for Destroyer? That'll be up to you. We'll put a poll up over on Twitter and let you vote for our next co-creator discussion. But that'll be it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Happy anniversary. Bye.